The USS Constitution, the oldest commissioned warship afloat in the world. The Continental Navy was dissolved at the end of the American Revolution, leaving the country without a sea power to defend the new nation. President George Washington ordered the construction of 6 ships in order to protect America's growing maritime interests. Those frigates were built to be the strongest, fastest, and most heavily armed warships of the era, and from the 6 ships built, only the Constitution has survived to today. It was launched in Boston in 1797 and was victorious in 33 engagements. Its fame lies in the stunning victories over the British Navy in the War of 1812. This war broke out when the British imposed embargoes and trade restrictions on America's merchant fleet to try to limit trade with France, who Britain had been at war with since 1793. At the same time, there were territorial disputes over the Canadian border and America's western frontier that contributed to increasing tensions between the U.S. and England. In 1812, President James Madison declared war on England, a conflict that also became known as the United States' Second War of Independence. The conflict lasted about 2.5 years and was marked by several land and sea battles. It was due to these battles that the USS Constitution won the nickname Old Ironsides because cannonballs bounced off her thick hull. After the war, and over the next 4 decades, the USS Constitution secured numerous bloodless victories until 1855, when she was finally taken out of active service. Around 40 years later, the frigate returned to Boston, and the Charleston Navy Yard has been her home ever since. The ship underwent several restorations in the 20th century, and 85% of the ship has been restored, bringing back its structural strength, enabling it to celebrate its 2000th anniversary by sailing under its own power. In October 2009, it was declared America's Ship of State, and the President, Vice President, members of Congress, and executive branch officials use the USS Constitution for conducting pertinent state matters, such as signing maritime treaties or legislation related to the armed forces and receiving visiting heads of state. Besides this role, the frigate has a museum, serving as the memory and educational voice of the USS Constitution, with people associated with the frigate collecting, preserving, and interpreting its stories. You can also learn those stories by visiting this frigate, which is in itself a testimony to America's history.